Hey everybody, welcome to the Pine Cottage. My name is Nicole. Today we are going to do our March knitting wrap-up. It is not Wednesday. I had been posting videos weekly on Wednesdays and it's just a little bit too confining for me. I'm having a hard time sticking to that Wednesday day. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure and I want to keep this fun and enjoyable for me. My work schedule is not consistent, so I don't work the same days every week. So it's really kind of difficult for me to commit to a specific day for my videos to go up. So just know that I'm going to do my best to post weekly, but the day might change. So there may be 7 days in between videos, there may be 2 or 3 days in between videos, and then there might be more than 7 days in between videos. It just really depends on how I'm feeling, what's going on in my life, and I just wanted to point that out. The next video is going to come up pretty quickly because I do still want to keep my book club videos to the first of the month, which is tomorrow. So you're probably going to get 2 videos back to back, but that's okay. Here I am. We're going to talk some knitting. I have one finished object, and that is a pair of socks. I talked about mid-March in that knitting video how I was using up some scraps for this pair of socks that I had in my stash. I was trying to be a little bit more colorful. I was inspired by Summerly Knits and her beautiful, colorful palette that she always uses, and I thought, I want to try that. And so this is what I did. And I was talking about in the last video how I was using this bright magenta pink, but the flecks in this blue are more of a burnt orange, and that was kind of bothering me. But you know, once the socks were finished, and I will put a picture up here to show you a picture of the completed socks, it really did not bother me at all that the flecks were orange. I think they're really cute. They are not for me. I am gifting these to my daughter for her birthday. Her birthday is the beginning of May, and these colors really suit her. This teal, I had been dressing her in that teal from the day she was born. It just looks really good with her skin tone, and it just suits her personality. So these are a throwback to her, and these will be her birthday socks. So this is finished object number 1. I did 20 rounds for the cuff. I did a knit 2, purl 2. I did weave my ends in as I went along as I was changing these colors, and I did the weave in Steven method. I did forget, you can see on this one, I did forget to slip stitch that first, when you do a color change, that first time you go around when you meet the new color, you're supposed to slip that first stitch to make the jog less noticeable, and I did forget to do that on this one. I remembered a little bit better on this one. You can see it's not as noticeable on that one, but I forgot up there. But it's definitely better on this second sock than it was the first. So just some things, you know, that I hadn't done in a while. I hadn't done a scrappy project in a while. I forgot about those little details. And the Weave and Steven method really worked well for these color changes and just having less work to do at the end to weave in your ends. So I just snipped them on the inside, leaving a little bit of a tail for when I blocked so that I could stretch them out a little bit if I needed to. And I'm just going to leave those in there. If they bother her, she can snip them even shorter, but they just turned out really well, and I'm really pleased with them. These are going to go to Nia. That was my only finished object for March. If you are not new here, you know that I had to frog my dad's Christmas present that I started because the size looked like it was not going to be big enough. My tension is tight, so I hadn't really been in the mood to frog that and to restart. And so in the last video, I hadn't even messed with it. I did finally frog it. and restarted it. So I decided the pattern called for US 6 needles, which is a 4mm needle. And instead of going up to a size 8, I decided to go up to a size 7. So these are 4.5mm needles. I am not using a smaller needle size for the ribbing. I'm just going to use the same size for the body and the ribbing. I feel like that's going to fit a little bit better. So as you see, I cast it on and I'm still on the ribbing. The pattern calls for, according to the pattern, I could be done with the ribbing and moving into the body, but I just feel like it looked strange, especially for such a tall, larger man. I feel like that ribbing was not adequate. So I am going to finish this little ball. So this ribbing is going to be the whole 50 gram skein probably. And I'm using a sweater that he had given me as a template, so I'm just kind of going by that, and the ribbing on that sweater is quite a bit wider. So I'm just going to keep going with my 1x1 rib until that's gone, and then I'll kind of see where I'm at. I did get started on the sweater vest. The other thing that I worked on is my granny stripe blanket. I feel like I'm really just moving forward with it. I would like to get it done this year. This is a crochet project, and I don't do just one row of one color. I kind of just use everything that I have and then move on to the next color. So my rows are not the same number, I don't have the same number of rows per color. But last time I showed it to you, where was I? Okay, here we go. Last time I showed it to you, I was down here on this pink, so I added another color, and now I am on this little ball here, which is some darker colors. So I'm gonna finish that ball and then just keep moving on. I am, I think, going to throw in the remainder of this color from this sock because I feel like that is a color that you would find in nature. That's what this whole blanket is based off of, colors you can find in nature. So that one will go in, and quite possibly the other ones as well, because you can find those colors in flowers, but they may be a little bit too bright for this palette. I'll have to see how I feel. I'm just collecting all the colors that I want to throw in this blanket in a little basket. And then when I'm finished with one, I just kind of decide at that time what I want to do next. There's no rhyme or reason, but it is getting pretty long. And so I feel like my goal of getting it done within the year is doable. I just have to keep crocheting away on it. I'm not giving myself really hard and fast deadlines with any of these projects. Even my dad's Christmas present. I mean, I know he was supposed to get it at Christmas time, but I'm not feeling pressure to finish it like anytime soon. I'm just knitting or crocheting when I feel like it, especially as the weather is breaking, because I'm getting the urge to work outside more and work in my garden. You guys, speaking of garden, my garlic, I think, did not survive the winter. I planted it late, and I feel like that was where I made my mistake, because I planted it just days before our first frost, and I don't think it had enough time to establish roots, and so I think it just never grew, was never able to grow. I'm not going to dig it up. I want to see if any will pop up, but I'm not feeling hopeful about the garlic situation, and I'm very sad because I had such a good harvest last year, and I chose not to expand my garden as far as like square feet. I did not add any square footage to the bed, but I did add a couple more garden beds. So it's in a new spot this year, but I don't think that's the reason it didn't grow. I really think I just planted it too late. We are in zone 5B, and I planted it October 27th, and I really should have planted it at the beginning of October, like in the first week. So that was my mistake. I just was busy at the time and didn't get it in. So I will not make that mistake again this coming year, but I'm kind of sad because garlic is one of my favorite things to harvest. But I do have some things on the way. I have some more garden beds. I have some grow bags. I'm going to be expanding what I grow in the square footage that I have this year. So that's going to be exciting. I'm really going to stuff my garden full so that I can get some practice with growing these specific crops, and then next year we are going to physically expand our square footage. So I think we're going to put in six additional raised beds, some more pots, and lay some gravel walkways, and expand the fencing. And so it's going to be a big deal. We are taking down the swing set and using that real estate for garden. So it's kind of bittersweet because the kids have moved up in their play, so they no longer use the swing set, and that will be coming down to become more garden space. So it's a little bit sad, but they do still play with the trampoline, or play on the trampoline. So that's encouraging. That will stay for a little while. So yeah, all good things. Everything changes and grows. So I am spending more and more time outside as it gets warmer, less and less time inside knitting and crocheting. So I never stop altogether. If you're new here, don't worry about that. I am always knitting. I'm just not knitting as furiously once the weather gets warm, which I feel like is pretty common. Definitely still doing some reading and just nesting at home and getting into some home projects. So you'll be seeing a lot of that in the coming weeks too. So these are my tomato beds, these two right here. I'll be planting 6 tomato plants and some herbs, and then this is my strawberry patch. So the strawberries did great over the winter, and they will be peaking up soon. I have to do a little bit of weeding, and my husband is going to be building a strawberry cage for me, so I'll have to show you guys that when that happens. So not thrilled with my garlic situation, but definitely excited to move forward, and that's how you learn. You make little mistakes. One more whip I have is I decided that I always want to have a pair of socks going. So since I finished those socks for my daughter, I am knitting myself a pair of birthday socks this month for April. My birthday is at the end of April, so it gives me one whole month to complete a pair of socks for myself. So this is how far I've gotten, not very far. But I chose this color. This is yarn by A Homespun House in the colorway Fern. And I chose this because of spring, because of the garden, because of everything turning green and growing back and budding. And green is my favorite color, and they are my birthday socks, so I thought that that was appropriate. I did take this contrasting color from the Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad set from January. So this is the mini that came with that, and I detached it from its little partner that it came with in the sock set, and I'm putting it with this one instead. This color Fern, I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but it does have little flecks of blue. Oh, there you can kind of see them. So I thought that this would be good as a friend. And so far I really like how it is. I'm just doing this little pop of color at the top, and then the heels and the toes will also be in the blue. And I'm not doing a pattern or anything. I'm just doing a vanilla sock because that's my favorite to knit, and it's the most relaxing for me. And with everything else going on in life and outside, I just want to keep it as simple as possible. So that is my last whip. I did receive a couple of books in the mail, some knitting books. Random House Publishing contacted me and asked if they could gift me some knitting books, and I said yes, thank you so much. And they allowed me to choose 3 books, and so the 3 that I chose, the first one is The Knitter's Handybook of Top-Down Sweaters by Ann Budd, and I'm really loving getting into sweater knitting, and I definitely prefer top-down over bottom-up sweaters. So I was excited to be gifted this book. And there are some really cute patterns in here. This cardigan I really like, so this little bit of color work might be fun to get into. Yeah, this cardigan, I really like the look of it. Oh, I hate knitting ribbing, but it looks really cozy. So there are lots of options in this book, and I was really pleased to be gifted that. The second book that I chose is called Operation Sock Drawer, The Guide to Building Your Stash of Hand Knit Socks. And this is by the Knitmore girls. And this is what the cover looks like. And it is just what it says. It is a book about sock knitting with a bunch of adorable patterns. I will probably venture into some of these. Like I said, I really enjoy knitting vanilla socks. But every once in a while, I get in a mood where I want to do some patterning, so I think that this is definitely a possibility this year. The third book that I chose is Knitting Patterns and Essays with Robust Flavor, Coffee House Knits. And I definitely thought that this book looked so cozy. So I definitely judged the book by the cover because I just wanted to jump into this cover. Even though I'm not a coffee drinker, it still was so cozy. But there definitely are some beautiful, beautiful knits in here. This cowl is so adorable and squishy. This sweater, this pullover sweater. I mean, I feel like every page that I turn to is something adorable. Hat. I'm really not one for shawl knitting. I probably won't knit any shawls. Cozy, cozy things. Oh, this mitten. And I do have all of that yarn from Ireland that my aunt gifted to me, so these mittens might be great for that yarn. So thank you so much for gifting me those books. They are really going to come in handy. And those are the only, are those the only acquisitions? I think so, because the yarn that I received from my sock subscriptions are for April, so I'm going to wait until April to share those with you. So this one is short and sweet. I hope you guys had a great March. I hope you enjoyed whatever you are working on. I will be back tomorrow to talk book club, and then within the next week to talk about all the things that I read during the month of March. And then the following week will be my mid-April knitting video. So lots of things coming up. I have lots of things on my plate, but they're all good things, and we are just really enjoying this break in the weather, and I feel like we are pretty certainly done with the snow. Probably one more will sneak its way in, but that's Ohio for you. So I hope you all are doing well, and I will see you in the next one.